So a few weeks ago, I made a video about the J35XS, and in today's video, I wanted to make a video talking about the J35A, a pretty much forgotten Swedish premium, and honestly, not a lot of people know about it. So the J35A was removed and is no longer able to be purchased. I personally purchased it about, I want to say 2 years ago during a sale when it returned for 50% off. It was one of the best purchases I've ever made. So the J35A is armed with 4 of the rear aspect AIM-9Bs, is armed with 2 of the same guns found on the J35XS. As you guys might know, these guns are very good, and about 8 months ago they finally got the addition of actually having tracers. They used to only have stealth belts, and it would take a lot of practice to get really good with the guns, but you know, that's just kind of how it was. And honestly, this aircraft is featured, now that it actually has tracers, you are able to actually not waste all of your ammo on one target, as you do only get 200 rounds. You get 4 of the AIM-9B Sidewinders, and between those two, you have enough weaponry to do a decent amount in air-to-air combat. Now, I will say one of the downsides of the J35A, like most of the aircraft found in this BR range, is the lack of countermeasures. That doesn't necessarily hurt you until you get against things like the A-YIT, the AV-8 family, A-10s, Frogfoots, things like these that just have really, really good air-to-air missiles. There's not a whole lot you can really do in this situation. Now, you can limit what engagements you go for, especially against things like the Harriers, the A-YITs, the Hunters, all those aircraft that have, AIM-9Js, AIM-9Gs, AIM-9Ds. They're all rear aspect missiles. Just watch which aircraft you actually give your 6 o'clock to. And then for things like the Frogfoot, the A-10, the A-6, things that have those front-firing aspect missiles, you could just avoid them. I mean, you are a supersonic aircraft, especially against some things like the Frogfoot and the A-10. You're able to avoid those fights pretty well. Now, I will say I'm actually had a lot more success with this aircraft than I have with the J35XS, simply because of its BR range and the fact that it goes up against aircraft that are far less capable than the J35XS. Now, I will say when this aircraft is on sale, if it's 50% off, it's absolutely worth the GE. It just has a playstyle that's a lot like the XS, but you're actually able to more or less enjoy the dogfights because there's a lot less aircraft that have missile spam. You're going to see things like the new F-106, Starfighters. I see a lot of Super Sabres. You can see Crusaders. These are all really well-renowned gunfighters. So you're going to be able to get into those gun versus gun engagements, these BVR dogfights, and it's going to be a very enjoyable situation to play the aircraft. And it is nice to just cut back and play something that's a bit lower BR than the XS. I don't necessarily like having to deal with radar missiles. I don't like to have to deal with a lot of those really superior missiles, and have to deal with the missile spam in general. So you're right at that cusp where you get to enjoy everything that the J35XS does and more. And on top of all that, you have a lot of maneuverability. There's not a lot of aircraft that are going to come out in a dogfight and beat you. And if you get desperate enough, you do have an AOA toggle, very similar to like what the F-18 and Su-30 gets. You really should never have to push this button. You already are more maneuverable than anything else. So just keeping that in mind, it's just one of those things that it's nice to have, being able to force overshoots, being able to force aircraft out in front, being able to point your nose wherever you really want. Anyways, let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. If you guys are not already subscribed, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing. Join the Discord link down below in the description. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.